Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to build your financial confidence from the ground up by tackling something that gets incredibly misunderstood: borrowing money. We're going to strip away all that confusing banking jargon, keep things totally simple, and make sure you walk away significantly smarter about how to manage your wealth. Let's dive right in. Okay, picture this. Two people walk into a bank, and they both take out the exact same loan. Let's say it's 10 lakh rupees. Fast forward 10 years, person A, they're crushing it. They're financially secure, they own valuable assets, they're making way more money, and they've built some serious wealth. But person B is a totally different story. They're incredibly stressed about making their monthly payments, they have almost nothing to show for all that money they borrowed, and honestly, they just feel completely trapped. So what gives? How on earth does the exact same financial tool create a wealth builder on one side and a giant ball of stress on the other? Well, the secret lies in understanding one absolutely crucial concept, and that is the massive difference between good debt and bad debt. Here's how we're going to break this down today. First, what actually is debt? Second, we'll look at good debt and creating future value. Third, bad debt and immediate consumption. Fourth, the huge impact of interest rates. And finally, a 5-question checklist you should use before you ever borrow a single rupee. All right, let's jump right into part 1. What is debt exactly? Growing up, most of us are told that debt is this big, scary thing. Parents warn us to stay away from it, and the news is always screaming about some looming debt crisis. But wait a second. If it's so awful, why do the richest people and the most successful companies in the world use it constantly? Let's get back to basics. Debt is simply money you borrow today that you have to pay back in the future, usually with an extra fee tacked on called interest. When you borrow, you get instant access to cash you don't actually have yet. In exchange, you just agree to pay back the original amount plus that extra cost. This one simple exchange is literally the engine of the entire modern economy. Think about it. The borrower gets cash right now, and the lender gets their money back later, plus a little extra for their trouble. Our whole system works precisely because borrowing lets us spend and invest before all the money has actually been earned. Without this, people couldn't buy homes, students couldn't afford college, and big infrastructure projects would just never happen. Debt is basically a time machine. It lets you use your future income today. So here is the huge takeaway. Debt is just a tool. It's not inherently evil, and it's not inherently a magic wand either. Think of it like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a gorgeous house, or, you can accidentally smash your thumb with it. The hammer doesn't care. Its impact depends entirely on how you use it. The right question to ask yourself isn't, should I have debt? It's, what am I using this borrowed money for? Moving on to part 2, good debt and how it creates future value. So what makes a debt good? 2 magic words: future value. Good debt is borrowing that actually improves your financial position down the road. Let's look at an education loan as an example. In year 1, you might borrow, say, 5 lakh to learn some highly specialized skills. Maybe you want to become a software engineer or a CPA. Now, education is pricey, and you probably don't have that cash lying around. But by year 5, because of those new skills, your earning potential shoots way up. By year 10, the extra salary you're pulling in completely dwarfs that original loan, and you're actually building real wealth. The debt generated future value. It literally paid for itself. And we see this everywhere in the real world. Take a mortgage, for example. Most of us just don't have the cash to buy a house outright. A mortgage lets you buy an asset that usually goes up in value over time, all while giving you a place to live right now, and it stops you from throwing money away on rent every month. Or think about a small local bakery. Let's say they have a line out the door every morning, but they only have 1 oven. They take out a loan to buy 2 more ovens. Now they sell 3 times as much bread, their profits skyrocket, and paying back the loan is a breeze. That borrowing, it created future value. Now for part 3, this is the danger zone: bad debt and funding immediate consumption. All right, this is where people get into serious trouble. Bad debt is when you borrow money to buy things you consume right away, things that create zero future value. The money is gone, you're stuck with the bill, and whatever you bought is probably losing value like crazy. Imagine swiping your credit card for a luxury vacation or a closet full of designer clothes. Don't get me wrong, the enjoyment in the moment, it feels fantastic. But that long-term obligation, the heavy monthly payments, the interest piling up, that sticks around way, way longer than your vacation tan. Those items aren't making you money. They're just slowly draining your future bank account. And here's one of those most people don't realize moments. Borrowing money just to look successful is actually a one-way ticket to massive financial anxiety. You see it all the time, people financing flashy cars they can't really afford, or buying luxury goods just to keep up appearances on social media. From the outside, their life looks amazing, but behind the scenes, they are completely drowning. They're using debt to fund a lifestyle instead of using debt to build assets. That is the ultimate financial trap. Which brings us to part 4, the massive impact of interest rates. Okay, we have to look at the mathematical reality here, because the cost of the money you borrow matters a lot. Even if you borrow for a totally legitimate, good reason, it can turn toxic if the interest rate is too high. Just imagine 2 identical loans. One charges a 4% interest rate, and the other charges 24%, which, by the way, is incredibly common for credit cards. That massive difference in the total interest you pay over time, that is literally your future wealth just vanishing into thin air. High interest rates eat your income alive. They make getting ahead almost impossible because a huge chunk of your hard-earned paycheck is just paying off the cost of the loan itself. So how do you spot a bad loan before you sign your life away? Watch out for these major red flags. First, if the loan is just funding consumption instead of creating value, run. Second, if your plan to pay it back relies on everything going absolutely perfectly in your life, that's wildly unrealistic. Third, the interest rate is sky high. Fourth, the thought of taking it on is already giving you a knot in your stomach. And fifth, you don't actually have a clear, realistic plan for how you're going to pay it off. If you see these signs, hit the brakes immediately. And keep in mind, even a so-called good loan can turn bad if your circumstances change, like, say, taking out a huge business loan for a new company that unfortunately ends up failing. On the flip side, what are the green lights? You're looking for loans that fund skill development, help you buy productive assets, or allow you to expand a business that's already making money. And crucially, the monthly payments need to fit comfortably inside your normal budget. The goal of financial literacy isn't to live a life completely free of any debt whatsoever. The goal is just to completely eliminate the harmful kind. Finally, part 5, the 5 questions you absolutely must ask before borrowing. I want you to treat this like a mandatory checklist. Before you ever hit approve on a loan, ask yourself these 5 things. Number 1, is this going to increase my income in the future? 2, is this helping me buy a valuable asset? 3, can I actually afford these monthly payments, even if the economy takes a hit or I lose my job? 4, have I sat down and done the math on the total true cost of this loan after all the interest? And 5, what is my backup plan if things go totally sideways? Walking through these steps forces you to slow down. It pulls the emotion out of the decision. And trust me, emotional borrowing is where almost all financial disasters begin. It forces you to be purely rational. If you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. This is the ultimate golden rule. The smartest, most financially successful people in the world, they don't look at a loan and ask, can I afford the monthly payment? No way. They ask, what future value is this borrowing going to create? That one single shift in mindset separates the people who strategically build wealth from the people who get buried by debt. Every time you borrow, you're locking up a piece of your future income. Just make sure the benefit you're getting tomorrow is actually worth the sacrifice you're making today. So I'm going to leave you with a question to really chew on. Take a hard look at your own finances right now. Is the debt you're currently carrying just paying for your past, or is it actively building your future? Think about that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. I really hope this helped clear things up and gave you the confidence you need to take control of your financial tools. Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.